One of the best, my favorite houses of all time to have lived in was Betty Davis's summer house in Whitensville, Massachusetts. And obviously, I'm from Massachusetts. I get the Patriots sweater on, and I lived in different places my whole life. And I won't mention any names, um, but my mother remarried, and my stepfather owned all these houses on a street. Now, Northbridge is consisted of Whitensville, Linwood, and Rockdale, and the Betty Davis summer house was in Whitensville. And I'm not even sure, but I mean, I think it's still around, obviously, um, but both were doing good for themselves. My stepfather built all the houses on the McBride Street in Rockdale, built it himself. You know, he was a carpenter, and he was doing really well. And my mother was into real estate, and so after living in one of the houses on McBride Street in '87, we moved into the Betty Davis summer house. And I just remember coming home that night when we first moved in and just looking up and being like blown away. Like the thing, I mean, at night it just had obviously like a haunted feel to it. And but it was cool. I was like, what, 13 years old? It was, yeah, 1988, or 1987 at first, into 88, and then 89. And I just remember that one night coming home and being like, this is our new house, like, you know. And had an in-ground pool, three stories, three, not stories, but, you know, three layers of three decker, whatever you want to call it. It was a huge mansion. And one of the rooms, I just remember in particular, it was really, really small. And it was funny because it was dark. Like when you close the door, it was intentionally all dark, save for there were things painted on the walls like Superman and all these other heroic cartoons, and they all lit up when you closed the door. So it was pitch black, but it wasn't pitch black because all those things that were painted or whatever lit up. And I was like, whoa, like it never, very rarely do you get to brag about living in a house like that. You know what I mean? And it had a haunted feel, but not in a bad way, like just a fun way. Like for me, anyways, I was like, "Wow, this is awesome," and I'll never forget it. And I lived there from '87 to about '89. But then in '88, in the summer of '88, I made a choice to live with my father. So basically, I only got to, I'd say, live in there about a year or so, and then I'd visit during the weekends, and then they had to sell it because my stepfather's construction company wasn't doing as good. He didn't get to sell the condos. He had to sell it. So then they weren't doing as good anymore, and they had to sell the house. But either way, from '87 to '89, we lived there, and it was just awesome. And figured I'd do a short blog on it, man. It was just pretty cool. Peace out, my YouTubers.